Okay, my name is Rosali. I grew up in 3 separate places. I was born in Lawrence, Massachusetts. At about the age of 8 or 9, I moved to Amesbury, and then from there I moved to Andover. So 3 very different experiences. First being surrounded by people like me, Hispanic people, people of color, and just kind of being enriched in culture. Then moving to a place where it was kind of like culture shock.
So my name is Domenica. I was born in Ecuador. I moved to the United States with my mom and my stepdad when I was almost 5. We moved to Haverhill. And I lived in Haverhill until I was 10. We moved to like two different places there. And then after that I moved here to Amesbury. I spent my middle school years, and then I still live here, but now I attend school at Andover.
My name is Alyssa. I grew up in Andover, Massachusetts, and Wyndham, New Hampshire, and I just moved to Andover about 5 years ago.
To the broken hearts.
Most likely when I moved to Amesbury, just because there weren't very many people of color. And of course there were a few, but we always ended up sticking together just because whenever we weren't together, people would ask us weird questions that we weren't very comfortable answering, and sometimes you would get different remarks, but so I'd say when I was pretty young, yeah.
I think I was subconsciously aware of it like all along, ever since I moved here to the United States, I mean. But since I was young, I wasn't really sure what was going on. And I never really realized it until looking back, watching my mom struggle to find work, and her always being terrified that she was going to fail something because people wouldn't understand her with her accent.
Like I said, I moved to Andover about 5 years ago, and prior to that, this town that I lived in was incredibly whitewashed. So the only people of color in the town were adopted by white families. Like my best friend from the old town, from my old town, was adopted from Korea. So I hadn't seen really much of anything, and then I came here and to Andover and to Massachusetts really, and I just things sort of opened up to me, and I realized that just wasn't good.
Won't you see the broken heart that I don't want to hear?
Definitely. Me personally, I almost never have my natural hair anymore, just because it's a little more difficult with everyone wanting to touch it and asking you questions about it and wondering why your hair is so messy when in reality it's not. It's just supposed to look like that. And also just not being white is difficult because you get a lot of different remarks, and people ask you insensitive questions that shouldn't be asked and you wouldn't ask a white person. And you worry a lot about racism and inequality and things like that.
100%. Unfortunately, that does happen very often. Luckily, I haven't, had to experience that personally because I don't have much of a physical appearance where you immediately think that I am a Hispanic woman. But yeah, it's definitely a factor.
I think it absolutely does. It shouldn't, but it does. And that very much, I think, people kind of look towards women, especially African American women, that they need to look actually more reserved and they can't dress in a certain way because it's distracting or it's unprofessional or any of those horrible adjectives. And I think it just it does really affect them because we need to put on a face at all times.
And I'm waiting for a plane to come.
I was so scared when I heard. That morning I woke up at around 5 a.m. and I woke up every person in my house and I told them who I was. Then I went to my mom's room and I cried. I did. it's scary just because as a daughter of immigrants, it's not an ideal presidential choice, especially with the comments that he has made. It can get pretty terrifying. You wonder what your future is going to be like if you're going to be allowed to live in this world comfortably. And, you know, having already experienced racial inequality, you wonder if it's going to get worse.
Yikes. So I woke up Wednesday morning and I was terrified that we would be moving back to Ecuador because we're all citizens. Everyone in my family, in my immediate family, is a citizen, and deportation is not my fear, but it's just that the hardships that would come of it would like make us want to leave. And my mom came into my room. She was crying. I had to hold her and make sure she was okay. And then in the car ride, I asked her, and she said that I could finish high school here.
I am absolutely terrified. On Wednesday, I woke up and I cried, and I was absolutely, as I said, I'm terrified. I have so many best friends that are women of color. I have so many best friends that are just women in general. I have so many best friends that are queer in some way or another, and I'm completely and utterly terrified. And even as a woman, even though I am a white woman, I am a straight white woman, I still find it like daunting. And the future is very ominous right now because I'm not sure what's going to happen.
Yeah, a lot of the times they do. Just because, I guess, it's not even that they haven't seen people that look like me. It's just because they are not the same and they don't have the same appearance, they don't know how to approach you. And so they think that maybe if they were to kind of address themselves in the way that they think I would speak, that it would make it better, when in reality I speak just like everyone else. They just think that I would speak differently for some reason. So yeah.
But I have had many experiences where I'm unapologetically Latino, and there have been people, for example, in middle school, there was this guy who would, I considered him a bully, and he would make racial slurs, he would make comments and jokes. One time we were looking at a map and he asked me where I was from, so I pointed it out, and then he's like, "Oh, so did your mom and you enjoy the raft ride over?" And I was like, "What?"
Sell it all to the
Definitely Alicia Keys. She's a big one. She's done a lot with voicing her opinions and kind of addressing what's been going on and all the social injustices. She's put together like a lot of rallies and things like that to talk about it, and I really admire her for that, especially since she uses music to talk about it, which I think is a very good strategy.
I am a really, really big fan of Michelle Obama, of course, but I also like Janelle Monáe. She has done a lot. She's a very successful artist, and she speaks out about Black Lives Matter, and she does protests, and she's very outspoken about her activism.
I absolutely adore Michelle Obama. She is a goddess, and I just think that she exemplifies just the personality of just every strong female figure, and the fact that she is African American just kind of makes it even better.
I think it's kind of exactly what you said. Women of color have to mask themselves as white women, essentially. That's why there's bleaching of the skin, relaxers for your hair, things like that, that kind of whitewash yourself and make it almost easier to integrate yourself into the community, even though that shouldn't be a necessity. You shouldn't have to straighten your hair and look whiter to be able to work in a high position other than, maid, cleaner, things like that?
Surprisingly, I've had experiences with the mask that I didn't really realize that I was having until you brought this up. My mom, she would oftentimes tell me to be careful with what I wear and how I act and what I say. Not so, like, of course parents always tell us that, but I always noticed it as more of a thing where she was telling me that I had to be careful with how much I showed of my culture because people wouldn't react to that positively.
All gone, been lost, been done, sorry